What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if Joker will be in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Now, this is not a copy and paste of the Gotham Knights video. This is a completely different game, a completely different situation, even, right? Different universe altogether for Joker. But I think it is an interesting question. It definitely does go in with the discussions we've had. Is this before night, after night? Will Batman be in it? And Joker obviously has a huge role to play there. So we'll have to kind of discuss again the time period and if it's possible and if it's even something that you guys or I want. Okay, before I get into that, really quickly, make sure if you guys are not already subscribed to the channel that you do. Make sure you guys hit that bell icon and make sure you guys follow me on Twitter. Podcast Now 15 is my Twitter handle. If you guys have not yet followed me, have a ton of fun over there. All right, let's jump in. So I guess again we have to figure out what time period we're in, because if we are after night, it's impossible. It's literally next to impossible. I guess next to, I mean, he's technically locked in like a vault in Batman's head, but like completely gone. But then if Batman's gone, then so look, in order for Joker to be in it, I mean, this is probably an easy thing to discuss, right? It would need to be before Arkham City, okay, or be a completely different universe, like another, I don't know, like a multiverse in the Arkham world. Totally possible. You have, I would assume, Flash in this game, so really anything with time is theoretically possible with how they want to do it. Again, with how Harley is, with how, even like King Shark and Deadshot, it's like, well, they are different, technically different people, so how do they say that like the extended canon isn't actually canon at all? They have to make things more clear as we get closer, and again, that does, I would say, influence whether or not Batman is going to be in this game, if this is like before Asylum even. I mean, pretty much, again, to boil it down, if this is before Arkham Knight, then there's a possibility. There's a possibility that Joker is in this game. If it's after Arkham Knight, there's zero. So we do have to focus on the before. Well, okay, next part is, well, how would they use him? How would he be in this game? Well, here's the thing. I guess there are technically two ways you can go at it. He can either be like a companion / like AI / side quest or quest giver, but you do not play as him, or he could eventually become a playable thing. Now, the way they talk about it does sound like these are the four. I know people want more. I want more. I want more people added. I feel like DLC is the way we get that. I'm not sold on like within a year. Now, they could. They absolutely could, but I'm not sold on it. That like next year when we see the game again, we see a new trailer, maybe we see gameplay, and then they introduce like 2 other members, and they say, oh, you guys only thought you could play as 4. No, we're actually going to give you, there's going to be like 8 in all, and we just gave you 6, and we'll announce 2 later. I mean, they could definitely do that, and I think, honestly, that would be a way to make it a little bit more fun even, and kind of get the anticipation going for this game as we get closer, okay? Again, am I sold on that? Not necessarily, because if they are fully fleshed out, if they're fully developed characters in my mind that you can play as. By the way, that's the most important thing, because there are games that has many characters that maybe you don't play as, but they're fully developed, they're very good characters, and there's a lot of them. But if you're going to play as them, you have to add that whole gameplay aspect to it too, and that makes it more difficult, and I don't know if they can end up pulling all that off. So then the question you say is, well, do they limit you at some point to how many characters you can play? I think the answer is yes, okay? So I guess you could go down that path first. So could Joker be a playable character? Possible. He's not, I would say, like a #1 candidate for the Suicide Squad. I don't think really anybody would want him as part of it. I think a lot of people probably wouldn't want him in the game at all. And I think a lot of people, if he was in the game, probably doesn't want him. Although, I think playing as Joker is a lot different than if just Joker is a villain in your Batman game, right? Because playing as him, I mean, we've only really done that 2 times, right? Arkham Asylum, if you had like the PS3, if you pre-order or whatever it was, and then also in Arkham Knight, towards the end. So I think he's a really cool character. I would love to play as him. I would love, even a game like what seemingly Suicide Squad would be, I would like to do that. Again, do I want that? Not necessarily, and I just don't think it's going to happen. So that's out. Could he be in this game as like a companion, as a quest thing? Well, okay, that's kind of the branch off of that, right? Where it's like, again, at some point you have to limit the amount of people you play as, but I mean, games have dozens and dozens and dozens of characters. So do movies, so do TV shows. So, if you're playing this game, you're going to have more than, I think this is pretty common knowledge, right? I think this is something that a lot of us could probably reach, where you're not just going to have these 4 characters, and then you're not just going to have the Justice League, however many members of the Justice League are that you're fighting. You have to imagine that there'll probably be other characters in this game, whether they help you out in cutscenes or, in development, or again, maybe they're like quest givers. I mean, this game, again, they're saying that they're going to do their own thing. It's not so calling it like Avengers, calling it a Destiny, calling it Anthem isn't fair, okay? But it may be close to those kind of games. But even with that being said, I assume there's going to be characters that are going to give you quests. So you're going to get mission objectives, and I guess that's in any game, or even like a single-player linear game. You technically get objectives of what you have to do, whether it be from like the plot or like a character tells you how to do. There's different ways of doing it. Joker could very well be one of them. Now, look, if this game is before Arkham Knight, I really do want, I will say that, I will go so far to say that, if the game is before Arkham Knight, I do want Joker in it. I think that it would be a really cool just thing in general and because remember, I think when we talked about the Suicide Squad before, I mentioned Joker, and I said that it is a cool idea, and I really like the idea because we don't get to see Joker interact with all that many people besides Batman. Now, yes, there's a little bit. There definitely are circumstances, and I guess I'm just talking the Arkham games. I mean, if you go further than that, yeah, he's got I guess interactions with tons of people. But in a game like this, to see him again, maybe not as part of the Suicide Squad, but if he has something to do with Harley, well, here's another thing actually to think about. No matter if it's before or after Arkham Knight, because you have Harley Quinn in there, I do imagine Joker will at least be brought up once. Okay, at the very, very least, he'll be brought up. At the very least, it'll be just words. You won't maybe actually see him, but there could be flashbacks. There could be cutscenes that have to do with Joker and Harley together. I would not be surprised in the slightest. In fact, I can't believe I didn't think about that first. Again, whether it's before or after Arkham Knight, Joker is just such an integral part of Harley, right? And Harley's an integral part of Joker that you have to imagine that if you have one, you will, in some degree, have another. And so, again, I really do think that he could be brought back in that way. Now, again, if it's before Arkham Knight, before he dies, I do think he could be physically there where he's helping you out. And again, I think that's actually a really cool thing because I want to see him not just interact with Harley because we've seen that before, but I want to see him interact with other people. And by the way, one other thing that could be like a selling point on this is the Arkham world. So if Batman is in it, that's Kevin Conroy. If Joker is in it, that's Mark Hamill. So for any people out there that want to see those two return to those roles in some capacity, now maybe they will in some other way, in the future, right? But if they want to see it in these game franchises, there's only one way. It's not going to be in Gotham Knights. Batman obviously has already announced that it's not Kevin Conroy, not even Roger Craig Smith. And Joker, while he could be in Gotham Knights, maybe he's Troy Baker, maybe he's somebody completely different again, which is fine. But if we want to see these two return, if Joker is in this Suicide Squad game, that means Mark Hamill's doing it. I would imagine. I mean, if they do somebody else, doesn't really make sense unless we're from like the origins time period of the Arkham franchise. But let's be honest, Rocksteady's not going to touch that. I don't even think Rocksteady likes that stuff in general, so I don't think they would do that. All things to think about. So imagine that. You have Mark Hamill's Joker, which is, in my opinion, the best voiced version of Joker of all time. I actually would go so far to say that. I think he does such a phenomenal job. So to see him not just interact with Harley, but interact with the other Suicide Squad members that we know we can play as, right, that are actually in this game. But then also, who knows, anybody else, maybe like Amanda Waller. Maybe you get to see him interact with the Justice League in some capacity. I mean, I think there are a lot of possibilities. Again, what I said earlier, I really do think is important. A Joker in a Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game, even though it's in the Arkham world. But a Joker in this game is very different than a Joker in the Arkham games. I get people are tired of him in the Arkham games. I think I understand what people are willing to see of him in Arkham games, what people are not willing to see. And Arkham, I would even extend to Gotham Knights, okay? Obviously, people have their opinions on Joker's involvement in any of these games. But I think it's very different for a game like this. Again, it could very easily be he's just dead, not in the game at all. This whole conversation is just not even worth it, right? Because he's just not in it. But if he is, or if he is alive in this time period, wherever we are, if it's in the Arkham 1.0 world or Arkham 2.0, it could be like a completely different world altogether, but it's in the Arkham universe, then I really do think he should be in this game. I really, really do. And I think the potential, even from what I've just said, to have him interact with the the characters. He could be a quest giver. If you see him fight, you see him fighting. I don't think you'd actually play as him. All of that stuff, and then you'd have Mark Hamill be returning. I mean, that would be extremely, extremely cool. I would absolutely sign up for that. So, guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think Joker should be in this game? Do you think, what I said makes it any more appealing? Mark Hamill or, whatever he could be doing. Let me know in the comments below. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel, Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. Again, follow me on Twitter, Podcast Now 15. And again, I make a new Suicide Squad video every single week. Obviously, as the years go on, we could probably, increase that amount once we start to get more stuff. And of course, if there's any new news on this game, I'll absolutely cover it, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.